Hey, good morning. So here I am, probably looking like a picture. I decided to go ahead and do this video now while I'm out and about. My name's Jeff. I've recently had a cardiac event about 6 weeks ago. So I'm 6 weeks into this, so I got a pretty good walking endurance now. Well, for the most part. You know, I can walk farther than my mailbox or to the stop sign. So my journey started back in October, preparing for a hurricane. Came inside, went to relax, rest, after putting up boards, all that good stuff. And I'm obviously out of shape at this point. I'm 238 pounds, 5'6.5" frame. And I don't work out anymore. I wasn't working out anymore. You know, I'm not exercising regularly. I work with dogs. So I thought that was enough exercise. It is not. Now, I have, at this point, realized that I'm getting heavy. I had to go to a family event where we took pictures. And, you know, I realized, wow, I'm a little fat guy. I was a big boy. So, you know, I was wearing 36 pants, 2X shirts. You know, it just kind of gradually happened. I love to eat. I love food. Bless my mother-in-law. She loves with food. You know, so we go there and, you know, I mean, it's kind of a social thing for us. And I dig it. Thing is it put about 60 extra pounds on me that I hadn't realized was there. Now, moving forward, I realized, man, I really need to start losing weight. I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to lose 10 pounds by Thanksgiving. You know, I'm a turkey baby. So I figured by my birthday, if I lost 10 pounds, I'd be okay. You know, it'd be a start. Maybe it'll get me jump started to get back into the routine. A week before Thanksgiving, and I had been walking around, you know, and doing that. That was fine. But week before Thanksgiving, I got up. It was a Friday. Wasn't feeling real good. I thought, well, you know what? I'll go over to the family care center. Just get them check me out. You know, I didn't have a primary doctor at this point. For other reasons. And I thought, well, who knows? Maybe it's a diabetic thing. I don't know. I'm getting big. I eat a lot of sweets. Who knows? You know, I don't know how that worked exactly. So I go. By the time I get there, my chest is hurting. And it wasn't terrible. But again, you know, after that hurricane, I felt, man, this is just muscle pain. You know, however, dumb butt me didn't realize it was from the center of my chest, left. It was in my collarbone. It was down the back of my tricep. And I just didn't put two and two together. For whatever reason, I just chalked it up to being out of shape, muscle pain. So fast forward back to the family care, because I was complaining of chest pain, they put me on a 12 lead EKG right away. Or 6 lead, I guess it is, sorry. 6 lead EKG. And they're checking me out, and first thing the doc says is, you're not having a heart attack right now, but I can see that you have had one. I couldn't tell you when. And it dawned on me. That night, I was having a heart attack, and I sat right through it. And I was just too oblivious to realize it. Don't ignore the signs, folks. So she refers me to a cardiologist. They do blood work. All my blood work seems to be okay for the most part. There's a few things out of whack at that point. Cholesterol's never been an issue for me. It's always been textbook. I do eat a lot of red meat, or I did. I always chalk it up to being a carnivore, right? Nonetheless, so fast forward to, I get in to see the cardiologist. They put me on I think it was a 3-lead. Can't remember at this point. Put me on a 3-lead in the office. She checks that one. She checks the one that came from the other office. They're running about the same. She's not liking it. And so she schedules me for a echocardiogram and a stress test. By some stroke of luck, I was able to do them both in the same day the following week. And so they did the echo. The echo was kind of inconclusive, didn't see much of anything. Did the stress test. I happen to know the guy. He's a retired paramedic and now he's working there. Great guy. And he's putting me through the stress test. You know, it's just treadmill and they put you on all the EKG stuff. They got stuff sticking all over you. They're monitoring you. And essentially, cardiovascular wise, I was doing pretty well. He even told me, he says, Jeff, to look at you, I wouldn't think you were in this great a cardio shape. I promise you that. He goes, however, surprisingly, I'm gonna have to make you run. They couldn't get my heart rate to go up. They had me on the incline, had me at 3 miles an hour. I think I ended up doing about 11 minutes at 4.5, 5 miles an hour. It's just like a jog, a little run. Kind of what you would do for a 5K maybe, or at least I would. And they finally got my target heart rate. So move on. Doc doesn't understand, you know, my stress test came out pretty decent for what I was. There was no major events during my stuff. So we chalked it up to unchecked blood pressure. I needed to change my diet a little bit, maybe too much sodium in my diet. And I needed to lose some weight. She gave me a goal, 10 pounds. Well, I had already had that in my mind. So I said, Doc, can I walk? Absolutely, I want you to. So I do that. I start walking. And I started doing a little bit every day. You know, I said, okay, I'm going to work up to 3 miles. Stop sign to stop sign at my house is a 1/4 mile. So if I go down and back, it's a 1/2 mile, right? Quick math. So initially I couldn't do that without being winded. And if you can't tell, I'm a little winded now. I'm walking a little bit further today. It's my day to move up a little bit. But so I got up to 5 miles a day. You know, once I reached the 3 mile mark, I pushed a little further every time because I was motivated. I was seeing the progress. I was feeling great. I was losing weight. You know, I was putting notches in my belt. Sorry, check and make sure nobody's walking behind me or driving behind me. I was putting notches in my belt and I thought, can this really be happening? And at this point, I had already reduced my portion size. I only got one plate. I didn't go back for seconds. I stopped the drive-through. And for the most part, I stopped eating after 7 p.m. Nothing after 7 p.m. except water. And that's just a little bit because I didn't want to get up in the middle of the night and go pee. Now, fast forward through the holidays. Even through the holidays, I managed to lose weight. Been very disciplined on myself. So, I had the mindset that I needed to do something. I had the motivation because I didn't want to have another heart attack. I've been blessed with 4 children. 3 of them are sort of at home. One's away at college. My oldest has his own family, and I got 2 in high school, right? I've been blessed very much. I got a lot to live for. I need to make some changes, and I needed to make them now. So I was progressing. I was doing great. Thought we were out of the woods. Even asked Doc to reduce my blood pressure medication because my blood pressure kept bottoming out. I was checking it daily. There were some days my blood pressure would be like 106 over 60. And obviously that's a little bit below textbook. So, I got with Doc, hey, can you reduce my blood pressure medication a little bit? I'm bottoming out some, and I think the weight loss and the exercise is helping quite a bit. Thanked her for recommending that I get on that. Just reinforcing, hey, here's a purpose. So we get through New Year's, we get through Valentine's, we get through spring break, get through Easter. Here I am in May, starting to plan out, hey, summer vacations. We got things to do. By this time I'm back to work. I was only out of work about 4 weeks, 5 weeks the first time. So driving home from work on I don't remember what day of the week it was now. I just know I was in the office most of the day. I wasn't out training the dog. Took the dog for a little 30 minutes outside. And I was like, man, maybe I didn't drink enough water today because I was in the office, right? When we're outside and we're sweating, we tend to drink a lot of water, do things. And sorry, I got a car coming, one of the other neighbors. And so we're doing things. And you tend to drink water. Well, being in the office, you're in the air condition, you're not outside, you're not sweating. While you have a bottle of water sitting there on the desk, that may be the only bottle you drank all day. So what I've done is determined that, I should probably go home because I wasn't at the office training the dog. I was out in an area kind of like this so the dog could run around and stretch his legs a little bit. And I just was like, man. So I did get a bottle of water out of my cooler, and I'm starting to drink it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start heading back home. So I'm heading home. I get home, it's probably, I don't know, it's somewhere like 4:55 maybe. It was just before the 5 o'clock hour. I'm shutting down my computer, doing all that good stuff. And I go in. Of course, wife and kids are getting home at the same time. We discuss dinner. You know what? Let me fire up the grill because I don't eat a lot of fried foods anymore. It's either air fryer or it's on the grill. And so I fired up the grill, and I just started feeling worse and worse. Started in my chest plate, then it radiated through my left chest, my chest muscles here. And so I told the wife, you know what, run me over to the EMS station. Let's get those guys to check me out, just because if I go to the ER, I'm going to be sitting there for 5 hours. And if these guys think that something's wrong, they'll take me over there anyway. because I wasn't totally bad. I just was having some kind of chest pains, and I thought it was dehydration. Because at this point, I'm doing great, right? Mentally, I don't think that there's anything wrong. So, change hands. So nonetheless, I get to the EMS house. Well, a fire station that had a paramedic unit there. I know some of those guys, and I'm like, hey man, I need you guys to check me out. I'm not feeling well. They looked at me and could see I wasn't well. They were like, Jeff, you don't look well. And I'm like, that's why I'm here. I need you to check me out real quick. Just to see if, maybe I'm dehydrated. I'm calm as all get out. Paramedic hooks up his little EKG machine. Just looks at me and says, I can't tell you to go, but you're going. I said, very good. Of course, put me in the bus. They give me 4 baby aspirin, says chew these up. Lift your tongue. Sprayed some nitroglycerin or nitro, whatever it is, underneath. Not nitroglycerin, I'll probably blow up. Sprayed some nitro under my tongue. He's like, is chest pain subsiding? I'm like, no. He goes, what's the pain? I said, right now? I said, it's progressively getting worse. I said, it's about a 7. And he's just looking at me. He goes, how's your vision? I was like, I can see you just fine. He says, feel like you're gonna faint? I'm like, well, I was a little dizzy there when we sat down in the chair. He goes, okay. And of course, they're going through all that stuff, right? We're taking a ride on the bus, and I was teasing the driver. I'm like, hey, you driving Miss Daisy or what? Didn't seem like we were going that fast. He had his lights and sirens on and all that good stuff. Them boys do a good job, believe me. So, they get me to the hospital. ER doc looks at my stress test, EKG, which was in the system because it's all the same system. It's all Advent Health here where I'm at. He looked at that one and he compared it to the paramedic's EKG strip. And he said, this one's going to cath. Tell him he's coming in now. They need to prep. He's coming now. So even though he was calm, there was a very, very big sense of urgency. So I thought, what the heck? So they send me in. The heart cath team is there prepping me. They're doing their thing. That team is Johnny on the spot, let me tell you. They were calm, cool, and collective, and they had a purpose. So we'll walk just a little bit more to finish up this video. So I get in there, they're doing the heart. They shave my furry little arms, and they do around the groin just in case they have to go that way. They're going to go in through my wrist, which they did. The doc goes in, they're looking, they're talking. Of course, they gave me something to keep me calm, I guess. Although I felt just fine, other than my chest pain, right? So the doc, they're looking, they're doing their things. They're like, they were ready to put stents in. They thought I was fully blocked up. So they get in, they're like, he's clear, no blockage. They don't tell you much while you're in there, but I can hear them talking, discussing amongst themselves because I'm wide awake. So nonetheless, they do their thing. They say, okay, we're going to keep you minimum overnight. And so they do. Well, lo and behold, I'm there. I go through the night. I don't sleep well because I'm not in my bed. I've already missed supper, which didn't hurt me, but I missed supper. I tend to eat a mid-morning and mid-afternoon, so like a brunch and a dinner. And so I'm at the hospital. I ended up staying 4 days. Lo and behold, my cardiologist is the one that happens to be on call and doing rounds. comes in to see me, and nonetheless, here I am. I think I'm in my, I'd have to double check, guys. That's the thing about these medicines, they got you on, it kind of affects your memory. But I'm 6 weeks out of my heart attack, and I believe this is going to be start of my 5th week at cardiac rehab, where they basically, you go to the gym, you do a lot of walking on the treadmill, you do exercises to work on your cardio stuff. They monitor you the whole time, right? And then after that, we go to another hour. I do that for an hour, and then we go to a classroom for an hour, and they teach me how to adjust my diet, eat lower sodium stuff. You know, I feel like it's all geared towards those folks that really do have blockages, and you know, they're doing that kind of stuff, because I'm kind of the anomaly without having all these blockages, not having surgery. You know, I got a guy in my cardiac rehab, he had a quadruple bypass, and they only did 4, I guess. One of his arteries on his heart, his body had regenerated a whole brand new artery on its own, which I thought is just amazing. So, nonetheless, I'm on this journey, and I just wanted to share with you. My kids keep telling me, Dad, you need to document this stuff. Maybe there's somebody out there in the same boat. I'm not one. I hate public speaking. I don't like to be on the camera. My daughter and I started this YouTube channel about side by side and being outdoors. So, but I've been put on hold on that temporarily, because they don't want you jolting around and doing all kinds of stuff. So this is just kind of a fill-in video. I'm going to put it in a whole nother playlist on the channel. Hopefully people watch it. Maybe I can help at least one person get them walking so that they can recover as decently as I think I am. And so nonetheless, I hope you stay on this journey with us. I won't post a video every day by any means. I'm not going to walk and talk every day. I don't know that I have enough to say. But I will do some different videos about walking, its benefits. Matter of fact, I got one planned that I've already filmed for 5 reasons that walking is good for you after a heart attack. So please check that out. I'll post a link to both of these in each one of those videos. That's all I've done so far. But come along for the ride, you know, see what we're doing. Oh, old Thunder, the horse there. Her daddy's there, gonna feed her. Sorry guys, I love where I live. It's quiet, peaceful. It's an equestrian type neighborhood. You know, get out and walk in nature, guys. There's nothing like it. And be mindful when you're walking. Listen to the surroundings. Listen to the birds, the bees, the grass, the wind through the trees. I know that sounds like a parody or something, right? Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm starting to ramble now. I'm running out of things to say. But that's basically my journey. That's where I'm at. The good Lord kept me here twice. So my purpose isn't done. I still have things to do. It's just God slapping me in the back of the head, telling me, hey, get your butt straightened out. You got things to do. So I hope you come along on this journey. I hope this helps at least one of you. If you have anything to say, if you're in the same boat, if you have a family member who's in the same boat, brother, wife, husband, mother, father, whatever, you know, comment below. Let me know. Tell me how things are going and where you're at in your stage. I'd like to hear about it. Sorry, all that sun was in our eyes. I'd like to get some conversation going about it, because I'm no expert, folks. I just can tell you what I'm dealing with. I can only share my experience as to what I'm going through, how it's affecting me, and how I'm recovering. Oh, and that was this go around, by the way, I forgot to tell you. This go around, there is damage to the septum. The septum is thickened in my heart, and the outside wall of my left ventricle has damage to it. On the initial heart attack, my ejection fraction was still 65. This go around, they put me at 55. So I'm pumping less blood. The heart's not working like it should. So we got to figure out what's going on and where we're at. I'll see if they'll let me film anything at cardio rehab. You know, maybe coming in, going out, something, you know, just to give you guys an idea where I'm at, what I'm doing. If they say no, they say no. It's the worst they can do, right? Always ask permission though. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that you get better. If you're watching this because you're in the same boat as me, keep going. Do a little bit every day. Do a little bit every day. Don't stop. There's a reason you're still here. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.